I'm Jay Sung. I have an emergency report, something very important to tell you today. We're going to talk about USDT.D and we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about to make a large reversal, and let's show you some of my proof. I believe USDT.D is primarily responsible for the influx and movement of Bitcoin. Side-by-side comparisons, I'm able to see most of the moves on Bitcoin well in advance just by looking at this chart. And I've identified some very strong moves on Bitcoin because of that. In June of 2021, I was able to see that there was some health that came into Bitcoin when this chart goes down. Then in October, I found some more health. And then again at 6.14 using our Tiger calculation, I was able to understand this strong rounding in this area. And with a high degree of confidence, I knew the bull run was not over. However, as we come to that confluence, the 4.98, 4.97 area and 4.61 is the lower side of this support. It's a strong range. I believe this chart is going to reverse. And when this chart reverses, when the tether reverses, I believe Bitcoin is going to take a major hit. Now, I don't believe it's the crash that's going to get us all the way to zero. I don't believe that's the case. I used to believe that, but now I've broken it up into a few different events, and I actually believe that's going to happen at a much later time. And I will talk about that at the end of the video. But as it is right now, I have been expecting prices to get to these areas down here. And during our filming for Chartroom today, our live meeting, I was able to see price sit right on top of our Tiger line at 4.8% along that path. Okay, there's an angle that's slightly upward and that I calculate. This is on a weekly chart. And what I believe is that you're going to see Bitcoin take a large hit. I want to point out a few things regarding this move specifically. The first thing I want to say and remind everyone is that earlier in the month I did a strong comparison to a very old chart that I found. I even had it on my phone of Euro USD. And I just happened to be looking at this one day and not so long ago, and I was looking at it and I turned my head as if I was looking upside down. And what I had to do is I had to flip the chart upside down and turn it backwards. And when I did, I looked at it and I said, this is a very striking comparison to the USDT.D movement. I can see it almost looks word for word of what was happening with USDT.D in this last section. Three big spikes, a multi-touch flat in this area, price coming up and then making its move down, which has been expected, and we knew this for a long time that there should have been price should have been going down, and prices in the crypto sphere should be going up. A lot of people should be experiencing a bull market, and thus we have. We had this move where we came almost down and came right back up underneath the Tiger area, and then we came down. In the Euro chart on the weekly, it looked a lot similar. We came up past that area, almost came down, came back up a little bit, and then we hit it properly, intercepting some of our lower support. And then we took a long curve and started going upwards. Because of that, for a number of months, I've been expecting prices to get down to these areas now. This chart was from just last month in January 27th. In January 27th, we were first rounding back up to that Tiger line. So I was very confident that we were going to continue going down. And when we go down, Bitcoin goes up. So I knew it's not time to really exit cryptos at that time. But we were still keeping an eye on that multi-touch flat as well as that upcoming supports of various type. Over the years, I've gotten very good at reading and comparing these two charts on the daily chart as well as the weekly charts, but I'm primarily concerned with the strongest energy because that's the energy that I want to warn you about. Because we are hitting these areas today and we stopped exactly on Tiger line, 4.87%. I expect us to reverse in this range. And my target that I had was 53,000, but many in the prophetic community believe we're getting to around 50, 56, 57, 58. Based on the charts, I'm going to show you where I believe the exit point is for Bitcoin. But I want you to see something as it is right now. Bitcoin today hit 57. Okay, Bitcoin today hit 57. And looking at the monthly chart, I can see the real story that is really happening on this. The weekly gives me cores and flats around 4.82. But when I turn on the monthly chart and read more of the energy, I can see that flat needs to be actually lowered to 4.61 area. So therefore, I have a strong multi-touch flat here at 4.97 to 4.61. So if you're trying to recreate my chart on USDT.D using TradingView, this is the data. It looks like it's from CryptoCap. I'm looking to place that somewhere around the first core. And that's where I want to primarily draw a lot of this energy. I also noticed that we spiked heavily on the top sides in those areas all 3 times. Although the first one was just within that range. The next 2 spiked 1, 2, and then 3, 4 before still coming down for a great number of months. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Even though I expect energy to hold us up, I expect a lot of reversal energy to come in the market on Bitcoin. It is very possible Bitcoin will spike below here for just a brief time, but still will not change the analysis or still not change the story. What does this mean? This means this is a very dangerous time for crypto traders. You could be in and be careful because people are going to be talking about a new Bitcoin, new crypto market. You're going to see a lot of people on YouTube making lots of different videos, and a lot of people are chasing the candles. But I'm just letting you know the raw data. I wouldn't do that. I would have a game plan about what you're going to do before you do it, okay? Because you have to know the full disclosure. If you're buying in these areas, you are chasing the candles. There is no reason for us to buy it if we stop in these areas. Now, if I'm wrong in my analysis, which I don't think I am, we do have another target at 3.14, and it intercepts a tiger line in these days too. But I don't really believe that's what's really going to happen. I believe you're actually going to reverse at this multi-touch. And I believe it's very possible that Bitcoin is going to hit around $60,000. Okay, I believe Bitcoin's going to hit around 60, possibly 61,000 as we spike down below this area. But if we still stop at in these days, especially if we do it by the end of February, which is only 2 days away, I believe that is going to be a very strong confirmation that that this chart is going to reverse, and therefore Bitcoin is going to reverse. This chart will go up, and I believe that we're going to make our way all the way up to 7.8% line, somewhere down here. Now, each month it goes down a little bit lower, but right now, if it's next month, it's around 7.8%. 7.8%. It is at this moment in these days that it's going to be very negative for Bitcoin. Now, personally, I really only believe it's going to last about until April. Okay, somewhere around April. It is possible to clear that distance within just 2 months, as we did from here to here. But comparing the actual measurement to our Euro chart, I was able to draw the proportion from this low all the way to where we come into these old tops. And it was approximately 17 months when I was reading it side by side with the USDT. So it is possible that this could take a long time, but it's also possible that it can take a very short time. So if it doesn't happen within 2 months and it just happens on a very slow curve, we're looking over a year. But with everything happened very rapidly, I'm on the camp that I believe it's going to be really quick. I know the line, and each month that goes down, I can know the exact price because I just go to that month and I just go straight up in the air until I hit my line and I know the price. That's how I calculate a lot of my prices. Now, because of this, once we enter this line, I believe we're going to reverse, and that's when the market's going to be healthy again. And it's possible it's around April, and it's possibly going to be healthy until June. And in June is where I believe some very bad things are going to happen in the market. I believe Bitcoin's going to have a very strong pump up to possibly around $120,000 area. I do have some charts where we have mid-phantom somewhere around 120,000. So I believe that price is going to reverse, and that means price can get all the way to target 2 at 3.14 to 2.80. Okay, so if you're taking notes, I want you to remember this area right here is where I'm expecting primarily USDT.D to go next. And that's going to be a very large drop. It may look something like this. Okay. And when that happens, that's when the big crash, I believe that's when the major crash is going to happen. I believe a lot of people need to exit cryptos, and I believe a lot of cryptos will have moved into position for seed money. Now, what does this mean for a lot of cryptos? Before I go into the Bitcoin, what does this mean for a lot of cryptos? A lot of cryptos are going to take a hit, especially if they followed suit during Bitcoin's decline. When Bitcoin was going down all the way until November of or when weakness first came in the market in November of 2021, there was a strong weakness that came over the whole markets. And we saw all in Chartroom. Anyone who has access to our old videos, you guys can see that we saw a lot of weakness happen in November, and a lot of cryptos lost their positions. And over the whole year until November of 2022, there was a strong amount of weakness that charts were in. There was just, we had to get out of Luna Classic, we had to get out of a lot of cryptos because there was just no setup. But then after November of 2022, a lot of cryptos began to come in health, and primarily in October. We were very excited to see many cryptos starting to set up, and then many cryptos bounced on their sword cut and they started moving very high. We saw a lot of things like that. Shiba was an example of a crypto that was able to hit some of its top targets. This chart was just from a few hours ago with Shiba hitting one of its top targets, but I believe it has to hit much, much longer. It is not hitting prophetic seed money if you're asking. And because it is at these tops, I believe that Shiba's going to take a hit. But certain cryptos are in such a strong position that many of them, even when they take a hit, are not going to fully lose their setup. That means that many of them moved into a strong structural position, and if they fall over a number of weeks, I believe some of them are still going to fall, but be on the healthy side of price. Meaning certain structures that were built that took many years or many months to build, and we finally moved on to the healthy side of those areas, we're going to only settle down into certain lows, but still not lose that structural integrity of what it's already built. For example, this low support that has been built since 2021. That's a structure that is still at play with verification. Then we can see the larger down structure down here. It's very possible that Shiba could fall all the way down to 0.00000, that's 5080, and still be healthy and still on the right side of price. And it may hurt, and so you're going to see certain cryptos that if they went down during the times Bitcoin went down, that some of those cryptos may fall. Now we heard also this morning that many cryptos are going to fall back to October prices. Thank you, Mr. Ryan Baker from one of our prophetic communities. We're so grateful to have your prophetic word and your prayer. And thank you for the previous calls that you've made in the past, if you're watching this. We're looking for a lot of cryptos to survive, but many of them to take a hit. If the higher the crypto was able to go during the season, it would be more likely to survive if it was in a strong position. Some of them also are at strong tops, and there's a lot of cryptos that we talk about in Chartroom. You guys can join us. Our website's at the bottom. I believe it may get very messy for certain cryptos, and you may want to consider taking profits on some of your cryptos over the next few days, especially if Bitcoin's hitting 60,000. There's been a few prophetic dreams about Bitcoin hitting low numbers. There's been certain prophetic information about Bitcoin hitting a very high godlike candle, then immediately just coming down, and it's going to seem like it comes down from nowhere. I believe there's an overlap of different prophetic words, and I believe they're going to happen in primarily 2 seasons. If I'm wrong, then it's just 1 season. I believe it's going to be around 120,000. But as it is, I believe Bitcoin's going to take that hit. As a reminder, I have a very good track record of reading USDT.D and seeing the seasons of energy that are coming in on this chart. And I believe that this is a very important one that I told you I would make emergency videos of when I see it. Although now I see that it shouldn't be the biggest crash, it's going to be a big dump in prices. And there's going to be a lot of people buying and chasing after these candles at areas where you should not be chasing these candles. These are some strong places where I believe things are going to reverse. For this next part, I want to go into Bitcoin, and I want to show you something I'm disappointed that I didn't catch on Bitcoin sooner. I've been watching Bitcoin, and primarily I use USDT.D to see what's going on, but I wanted to see many of the things on Bitcoin itself. Now, there's manipulation that happens on Bitcoin. Primarily, when they print Tether dollars, they're able to sustain the prices of Bitcoin. There's a lot more to it, but that's basically what happens. And this price of Bitcoin is shown on a monthly chart. And what that means is that each one of these little candles that you are seeing here is just representing 1 month worth of time. And so we can see over many years, Bitcoin has actually been moved up on a parabolic curve. Okay, and this is what I call parabolic. And I usually draw mines in yellow. And as I draw along that curve, I can calculate there should be support here, there should be support here, there should be support here, and there has been. And that tells me this is a very important piece of information. I now know that if Bitcoin is happening to play and build underneath 24,000, if we're building underneath the floor, then generally you're going to see a very large crash happen. This means if Bitcoin is coming down from 120, or even now, if we are able to go low, but then we come back up and try to recover underneath 24, but we're not able to, I know that heavy sickness has came into Bitcoin, and you're ready to see a lot of markets dump. Now, this is a good time to remind everybody that prophetically we heard that Bitcoin's power over the whole market would eventually dissipate. You see right now that if Bitcoin has a bad day, the whole market has a bad day. You've seen that for a few years. There are certain cryptos that are sometimes an exception, but for the most part, that's the general rule. What happens in Bitcoin happens in the whole market. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But prophetically, we heard that certain cryptos are supposed to move higher during the times when Bitcoin falls. So prophetically, for example, Shiba is one of those types. That's going to be one coin that's supposed to prophetically move during the time during Bitcoin's fall. Now, is that going to be the fall to zero, or is it going to be the fall now? As long as Shiba doesn't lose too much of its position, it could be relatively soon. It could be over the next couple months we could see Shiba actually hit some higher prices, and that would fulfill some prophetic words about seed money for Shiba, because many people who are in the communities or wealth transfer communities, you're looking for times where you're asking the Lord, I need some seed money to invest in, and I don't have any seed money, and I want to participate in wealth transfer events of various kinds. And you're asking the Lord for some seed money. You have to have certain cryptos hit certain numbers for you to have some seed money. Otherwise, most people don't have too much seed money that they can use. So I believe there has to be some kind of season for that to happen. I believe that during the time of Bitcoin's fall, you're going to begin to see many of these cryptos hit more and more prophetic numbers. Already you're seeing certain things happening behind the scenes, and certain people are taking advantage of those opportunities, and the whole RDD situation, you're going to see a lot more of that, which is a revealing of what's really happening behind the curtains, the real prices that are in the market, the dual ledgers, the hidden ledgers, the glitches that you are all seeing all over YouTube, those times when your account will shoot up to 222 million or something like that and then come back down. People are experiencing that. They're taking screenshots on their phones. I have a few friends who are experiencing that, and they don't know what to think of them. There's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. Prophet Robin said 2 years ago, he said there's a lot of manipulation, and one day that will come to light, and people are going to be very upset in the crypto sphere that these things were happening. And primarily, I believe a lot of that manipulation is happening for nefarious purposes, for evil purposes, and it funnels through Bitcoin. Similarly, personally, I believe it's a lot like the petrodollar, how when petrodollar was established, we forced the whole world to buy oil through our dollar, and now the world is fed up with it, and the world is making their own version of their dollar, and using the BRICS nations. They're all choosing to play the game of oil, and it was this past year that the first barrel of oil was finally bought without the United States dollar. And I believe something like that may happen in the future when Bitcoin's power is broken in alignment with Prophet Robin Cunningham's prophecy about Bitcoin losing its power. He said that you would see times when people are some of the larger financial institutions are going to stop wanting to hold on to their Bitcoins because they're going to see too many of these altcoins popping up, and they're going to start, it's going to take note, and they're going to take notice, and they're going to try to put some of that money to there, and you're going to see a flowing out of Bitcoin. Now, I want to show you a few things that I've caught on Bitcoin. Number one, again, as I showed you that weakness. Number two, I can see a curve on top, and it's a different angle than the bottom one. Now, normally, it's the same curve. Most of the times, it's the same curve. But there's a calculation that we can do called Mixed Tiger, which gives us some more advanced numbers when price starts moving above and below. But that's a mixture between the two different angles. Okay, so there is two different angles. In Chartroom, when I see two different charts at two different angles, I give them two different colors so that I know I'm working with two special angles. I do have some small verification right here that's denoting that. Okay, now I want to show you now a few more things. The next thing I want to point out with Bitcoin is I believe that $60,000 is going to give us some problems because there's a multi-touch flat back around these areas. These heights, although they looked different on the daily chart and they looked different on the weekly chart, you can see on the monthly chart they're relatively in the same area. Okay, do you guys see how they're in the same area? That is important. This is a monthly chart. Each one of these is 1 month worth of time. And we're hot on the trail towards that area. Currently, right now, 56 to 89 is what the current price is as of, I think, an hour ago. Now, I want to show you something else about this. There is a parabolic curve upwards that I can see on this Coinbase chart based on the weekly chart. It's within the flow of the foundational areas, we're going up on a slight angle, and then we continue up on that slight angle. And though those has to be adjusted a little bit, it's primarily in the correct spot. And what this means is that it's going up very sharp. So over the next few weeks, if Bitcoin were to phase past this way, we could be seeing more proof or confirmation of weakness. Although you don't have to get to this side before it falls, it can fall a lot more faster, or it can reverse at different areas. I believe we do have some target low support here first at 35,000 as a high and 32,000 as a low. So somewhere around here, I believe we may actually hit that as a low. If we hit it, it may look something like this. I'll include these image notes on our website. The next thing I want to point out is something very interesting regarding the volume spread analysis on this chart. Take a look at this. Back in early 2020, I could see, reading the VSA, that buying accumulation came in the market. The professional money was buying up Bitcoin in these days, and I can see it clearly in the data. And sure enough, we rose. As I'm looking further in the story, I can see that some distribution began around 33,000 Bitcoin. And this is very important that you follow me on this part. I can see from the data that some distribution and selling from all of those buyers began to happen at 33,000. This was followed by no demand up bars, and this was confirmation a few months later. Again, this is on the larger story, the larger monthly chart. If you don't pay attention to what happens on the larger story, you're going to get whipsawed on the smaller story. You can have the best analysis on the 15-minute chart, 4-hour chart, and everything. But if you don't see the big humunga dunga wave coming in, you're going to get thrown off. We can see that there was more distribution at 33,000 again. Look at this high volume up bar right here. But look at the close. We're closing right towards the middle. It's at the end of a run, and we're already in the 33 distribution zone by which the first distribution happened, followed by us being at the top in an area where there was previously no demand at these prices. Look at the volume that was down here during the no demand. So when we were at the top, there was no demand there, and that's where our volume was at. Now look what I believe is distribution activity at 33, and then we get up here in this super ultra high volume bar with only 2 days left. So you can pretty much say that's how much volume is going to be. There's not much more left. And look at the volume. Look at the volume. It is low, very low. We are at no demand. Fact number 1, February is over in 2 days. Fact number 2, there's no demand. So how do we have this ultra high volume bar and we're bullish? How are we supposed to press through this previous area if we don't even have the energy to press through? If there's not professional money supporting the markets, it's just the retail. It's the retail market. They're all the candle chasers. These are the regular people that always get left at the party. They're left holding the bag. I didn't see this, and I'm pretty upset that I didn't see it. But the hidden selling happened and has already begun. Hidden selling by professional money has already begun. Beware of chasing Bitcoin candles after these days. Because of that spike through on USDT.D, you may hit 61,000. You may even hit 62 on Bitcoin. But beware, because you are already at the areas where price is supposed to reverse. You are already there. In fact, even look at today. I can already tell you, we came all the way down here to 4.67, but even just over the last few hours, there's pressure to push us back into these areas. The real money stops here. The retails are going to be chasing these candles, and you're going to see, you got to be careful if you're buying over the next few days. I understand holding out for a little bit more profit until things settle down. I can understand that even. But I'm letting you know, be careful of accumulating buying at the top. You want to buy low and you want to sell high. You want to buy when it's low and in position. You don't want to be a candle chaser, because when the market reverses, you're left holding the bag and the professional money says bye-bye and they left. Confirmation that USDT.D will be in a place where it's going to move up, which is going to be even more bearish for Bitcoin. Bearish, that means Bitcoin will go down when this chart goes up. Will come in when we're on top of this dotted line. And if you want to draw that dotted line, you can draw that too. But when price goes on there, you're going to see that reverse as well. That's on a weekly chart. You can draw that. But I'm letting you guys know, I'm good at seeing reversals on this chart. I believe this is the area. And if you look at all the previous resistances, when we were building on the underside of this area, and now we swung for a very, very large swing, most likely we're going to bounce now and go up to this area up here. We have not come back down and hit those tops, and there was 3 of them. Are we just going to come here and ignore them and pretend like they don't exist? My friends, look at this data. Look at this data. You're going to pretend like we're not having perfect round action and there's no resistance here. It's just going to come and pretend like it didn't happen? I don't think so. I think all of this area right here needs to build support, and I believe it's going to reverse us. It's going to reverse us in a big way, and Bitcoin's going to take a hit. I want you guys to all be warned and at least have some data which you can look. You don't have to believe my data, but at the very least, you should take these things in consideration. You should look at the data yourself. You should, if you don't know how to read a price map, we're here for you guys on Chartroom. Our next meeting is on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we look at a lot of cryptos. People make Chartroom requests. On our website, we have a lot of great resources, a lot of great data. We have video lessons. Today we covered Dodge, Pimpy, ApeCoin, XCN, Luna Classic, ACH, ADA, Band, Suri, and R, Render, and a few other cryptos like that. Within 24 hours, we generally post all the image notes as well as a video copy and usually a quick recap version of the full video. Primarily, we record the full video on Wednesdays, but many times we just record the full video anyway. But this is just information information for you guys all to have and access those resources for you. You'll get the email links when you guys are joining, and you can just click. Usually they're posted within 10 or 15 minutes before each session, and then we have great fellowship afterwards. And I want to be here for you as best I can by at least being accessible to you during our live call. So if you guys have questions, you can put it in the chat, or our VIP. We have a lot of great people in our JSON Telegram VIP group, as well as the JSON Crypto and Christ Telegram group. I wanted to make this video for you. I don't always give all of our content out on YouTube, but we do make content all throughout the week, many times a week. But on YouTube, I don't always post everything. But I said to you at the very beginning, when Bitcoin has the big movements, I'll let you guys know. When XRP has big movements, I'll let you know. Right now, XRP is probably going to take a big hit because XRP didn't even move into position. And it's not something that I have on my radar, although I absolutely believe it's going to do well prophetically. It's going to do long term. It has a great things about it, and based on its utility, and it's going to change the world. But as far as trading goes, as far as something that's happening in our immediate time, I don't believe this is the time for XRP to pump. I also don't believe it's in position, and I believe you might see XRP hit some low prices as low as 17 cents. XRP should take a big hit because it did not move into position, so it was still weak. Other cryptos, you're going to see them get hit, but still keep on coming. And I look forward to being there for you guys, or as best I can, for as long as I'm able to be here doing Chartroom. Father, I pray for these people who are watching this video, the strangers I never met, and I pray that you would be their guiding light. And I pray that you would give them peace in the markets. I pray that you would give them peace for their troubled minds. The Bible tells us in Philippians not to be anxious for anything, but by prayer and petition, letting your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard their hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Lord, if you have not had an encounter with them, please minister to them where they are and let them meet you for who you are. I pray that you would forgive them of all of their sins, and cover them and wash them clean with the blood of the Lamb. Lord, cleanse us all from all of our unrighteousness, including mine. Let us have a fresh start with you, and let us be welcome into the kingdom of heaven and into heavenly places. We thank you, Lord, and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. I sure do love you guys. I sure do appreciate you guys. Thanks for everybody who's watching this video and supporting our ministry. If you guys want to give, there's links in the description if you want to support our ministry. We have WordRoom Message on Sunday. I preached a really important message on Sunday, a very timely message about greed, jealousy, envy, and covetousness. I believe that there's a certain attitude that we have to prepare our hearts against. There's certain spirits we have to prevent ourselves from. There's certain spirits that can really target people who are in wealth transfer communities. And I believe that message is going to be very important for you to watch. And I hope it blesses you. If you guys have any other questions, you can reach us on our website below and just message in the chat. Or you can shoot me an email, and I'll do my best to get back to you within a week. I'll see you guys tomorrow.